Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know, yeah. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzle show, yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzle show, yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzle show, yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzle show, yeah.
Hey everyone, before we begin this week's episode of the Matthew and Rizzle Show, just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Proof of Beauty. Proof of Beauty is an experimental digital experience studio. The blockchain is their canvas and the tokens are their brush. You can learn more about Proof of Beauty by checking out pob.studio. You can follow them on Twitter as well at PRRF Beauty. That's PRRF Beauty on Twitter and pob.studio on their homepage to learn more about their projects like Hash, London, and Publico. Thank you and enjoy the show. Okay, Lawson, welcome to the Matthew and Rizzle Show, man.
RARA, what's up, Matthew Grizzle? Hey, nice to see y'all again.
Hey, RARA.
Yeah, it's been a minute. I know folks that have been to the whip definitely familiar with RARA participating in a couple live auctions, but really excited to get to know you a little bit more today, as well as the update that you all have coming this week when we're recording, which is like, what is it, the 30th today? So like almost into the first week of December. So anyway, dude, introduce yourself. Tell us what you were doing pre-crypto, what brought you into crypto to begin with, and then we can start diving into when you created RARA.
Yeah. So kind of my backstory getting into crypto was in investment banking and realized I was renting my time and family of entrepreneurs and founders, and ended up joining as part of the founding team of Synapse FI, which was the first banking API in the US. And our first customers in 14 and 15 were crypto exchanges and Bitcoin apps. At the time, the Bitcoin apps were primarily like remittances, Abra type things. But were also the things, if you remember, like I think it was ChangeShip with like Bitcoin tipping on Twitter and things like that. And we ended up growing the business kind of more towards fintech. But we had to have basically two kind of customers. We had fintech customers and crypto customers. And at the end of the day, the fintech ones were, basically pretty apps on top of banks, not very innovative. And the crypto ones were really just trashing the bottom layer and starting over. And so couldn't unsee that. And left there, ended up going to TokenSoft, where we were basically building and emulating financial assets on blockchains, along with helping a lot of token distribution and tooling on different projects like Hedera, Hashgraph, Tezos, Handshake, Keep, Thesis, Synthetics, you name it. And left there early last year to really head towards more of a consumer play. For me, it felt like, we'd spent 10 plus years getting ready for normal people to use crypto. And at the time, COVID had just hit and was kind of working on this idea of how do we turn engagement into money? Like, how do we, people were working for free on the internet for effectively Facebook. And the only person making money was Facebook. And so I was trying to work on this idea of making the idea of content and people engaging with content and fans to be able to kind of share in this kind of like, new economy based around crypto tooling. And so started off with originally it was called Money Mail, but now we're called RARA. And basically RARA phonetically is a cheer. And that's literally our product in action. Yeah, that's how I got into crypto.
Dude, RARA and like sort of the vibe and excitement that the events that we've done with you guys, with the Whippin' and Token Smart, seems like a lot more like party atmosphere than what your background seems to lend itself to. And it's exciting, man. I feel like, the things that I've been to where you guys show up, it's easy to see other people get excited. And, Matt and I have talked a lot about like, how some of these bidding wars are exciting, and this, what you guys do sort of almost amplifies that or gives a microphone to these like bidding wars. But dude, this is like a super, super like niche thing to reward people for engagement for. Like, how did you even like really stumble upon this concept in the first place?
Yeah. So, I guess to kind of continue the story, when the NFT space and kind of the social crypto space late last year started going crazy, we decided to kind of pivot to be around specifically how do people casually engage with NFTs. And for me, the NFTs were very powerful because they definitely were getting the creators paid, the artists paid, and the people on the internet finally like had valuable like work, right? Like before, as a designer, like your most profitable job was to work at Facebook and make sure the corners were rounded. And the reality is, great designers they're artists first, and they have to make a living second. And so, for the first time, we had something ownable on the internet, Bitcoin, and then everything else after that could be ownable as well. And so we got NFTs, and we had our kind of first attempt at NFTs being a thing in 2017, and then crypto and everything fell out of favor, including especially NFTs. They were very uncool for a long time. I remember getting my first NFT, I think it was 2018. And it was interesting and novel, but I totally didn't get the why. But you could kind of see this momentum specifically after the DeFi summer. People who were crypto native totally got why they would want to buy really cool art on the internet, because it makes sense. I can own that too. And that was really powerful because it created this perfect viral loop. Artists heard about another artist making money. And they're like, screw this, leaving my day job, I'm selling NFTs. And it doesn't take long. It takes one sale, two sales, maybe 3 sales. And the vast majority of artists are, you start to see the majority of their attention being in NFTs and creating NFTs. And that's really powerful. That loop works. It is encouraging the artists to get into the game. The problem with that is one of ones and price floors quickly make the vast majority of NFTs inaccessible to broader society. It's very unlikely that someone's just going to go from zero to paying, 1 ETH, $4,000 or whatever it is today, to buy what to them still kind of feels like a photo on the internet. And so the idea of RARA is to allow for broader access to crypto and the upside of NFTs. Specifically, it's likely you would like an NFT way before you would ever buy an NFT. And so what RARA is working on and what the NFT race is about is effectively about turning likes into money. The act of liking on RARA costs a little bit of money. Specifically, it costs you RAW tokens. But by paying that little bit of money, you're essentially investing in the broader virality of the asset, which is very different from owning the NFT asset. The owning the NFT asset, like there's one owner, it's a capital asset. Maybe you can find ways to maybe fractionalize it or make it broader accessible. But how do you invest in, I guess, people's opinion of it? And so that's where RARA's come in. We're actually with the NFT race, which is coming out tomorrow. I know we're going to release this in a few weeks, so it'll be live by the time this is out at rara.social. We're also deploying what previously has been database money, but we're deploying RAS on chain. And the only way you can get RAS is you have to actually earn them. The first way you can earn them is literally to sign up for the app. But the other primary way you earn RAS is effectively discovering cool content before other people discover it. In discovering it, you're spending a little bit of money, RAW tokens, to say this thing is cool. And the way the race works every day is curators, which we're starting off with 30 total Genesis curators. You actually have to hold a Genesis curator NFT to curate in the app. 20 of those we gave away to our community. 10 to our community, 10 to external, known, established NFT curators. And the other 10 will be for sale on a mirror post at rara.mirror.xyz. And those curators effectively seed invest in the NFT they think should win the race. And they seed invest that with RAS. And then every day at noon Eastern, anybody on the internet can come to the website and say this NFT is cool or not. They can invest one or multiple RAS in it. And actually, regardless of whether that NFT wins the race, you still could actually earn. And so the race is more of a mechanic just to see which of these NFTs are the most popular, and as a result, should be inside of our race gallery. But you could actually earn and earn raw tokens on ones that don't win that day. Again, which is a very kind of novel concept, because the broader idea is, again, investing in virality of an NFT. Specifically, will other people like this NFT after me? Is kind of the idea.
So actually, you're building off of what, at least to me, RARA has always been, which has been this project that's been experimenting at the intersection of crypto and social, right? So, I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, like at any point, but previously
100%.
At the whip, like what you've been playing around with was the idea of like bidding wars as a feature, and providing like a tool suite for creators and communities to kind of get in there and use crypto and have this like social experience around the bidding war. And now with the NFT race, I mean, you're still playing with the social aspect, but now it sounds like you're kind of combining almost like staking with liking, potential like earning capabilities with what you're building out here in a more fixed, more regular cadence, as opposed to the spontaneous nature of auctions. But I'm kind of curious if you could unpack, using maybe a couple more examples, how the NFT race will actually work in practice.
Sure. I guess to first kind of to get at your kind of analogy or comparison, social crypto, that's exactly what we're working on. The way I look at social crypto, it consists of a few different components. Inside of crypto and Web3, Facebook or Twitter are not going to be recreated by one protocol or one app. It's going to be 50 protocols and 50 apps, or 5,000 apps, more precisely. And it consists of effectively a loop where individuals and communities create content, social and community tokens, create NFTs. And superfans can buy those NFTs or follow and join the community by basically picking up their community or personal tokens. And essentially the missing component of that is, how does a casual fan say they like an NFT that they're not trying to buy? And so that's what RARA is. RARA is effectively trying to create a decentralized, portable Facebook-like, with RAS being the first version of that like. In the future, our protocol will allow for lots of type of likes. To move on to your specific example, every day at noon, there's going to be anywhere from 9 to 12 to up to potentially 30 NFTs entered into the race. Curators invest in NFT from pretty much any platform supported. Now we have OpenSea, Zora, and Foundation, which pretty much covers through aggregation the vast majority of NFTs. And when they enter that NFT into the race, starting at noon every day Eastern, you, me, or anybody can come to the app and hit the raw button to invest in that NFTs. Again, likelihood that it's going to go viral in the race. And so, where before we were working on this idea of like fan engagement at an auction. Again, people were rawing at NFTs during an auction while you could also bid. Inside of RARA, you can still go to the platform and bid on the NFT, but we're trying to not deprioritize the auction so much as it was never the focus in the first place. It was just where there was activity of people potentially observing an auction, or observing, is this NFT cool? We've spent the past month and a half with 100-ish, different kind of beta testers on the NFT race. And it's been super interesting kind of engaging with them and kind of learning from them of like, what's been fun about it and why do they like it? Obviously people like to earn tokens. And so that's why you're in crypto. And so everybody, mentions that, first, second, or third of why they like the race. But the primary reason that they keep saying that they come back and we're playing with it again the second day or third day was effectively discovery. Mm-hmm. The internet made all content free, and as a result, the internet is full of a ton of content. And the hard thing is knowing which content you should care about. The NFT space is no different. There's something like 18 or 19 million NFTs if you just go to the search bar on OpenSea right now. To a new user or even as sophisticated users, it's incredibly hard to know which ones matter. And so these Genesis curators are the first filter to what NFTs matter. They had the permission in the app to enter an NFT into the race. And then everybody effectively votes and vests with RAS on the ones they think matter the most. This one's cooler than this other one. Simply like an NFT, earn crypto. And as a result, 3 of those NFTs are going to be are going to move towards the top, right? It obviously could be a tie, but the idea of each race is there's only 3 winners. Only 3 of these are going to get the most RAS. And as a result, again, why do people come to the app? They're getting to discover new artists. They're getting to discover kind of new perspectives on what's cool or what's trending. And even the curators. It's been interesting hearing from the curators. Part of the reason they like curating is it's a gut check on their own taste. Am I off trend right now, or I love this thing, maybe nobody else does. And again, that's kind of what we're working on. One of the analogies I use for the NFT race is it's kind of like Rotten Tomato movie reviews. Mm-hmm. On Rotten Tomato movie reviews, you have two scores. You have critic score, and you have fan score. And that critic score is basically anybody with a platform. They work for New York Times or Rolling Stones, and they recommend this movie. And the fan score is anybody that has access to the internet. And we like to think about NFTs as kind of in a similar state today, except we only have critic score. The people with the platform specifically are the people who bid on it, the people with enough money to bid on it and buy on it. And so every bid is arguably a critic score, with the final price being the definitive critic score. And that's cool. Again, that's helping artists get paid. It's also helping, people are investing and flipping these things and making money. But again, there's a lot of NFTs that probably are high priced because one person or 2 people were in a pissing match, while they may, not be culturally relevant. Again, similar movie reviews, the critics and the fans don't always agree. Critics may love something and it's a total dud in the box office. It's too whatever. Society just not ready for it, or just doesn't like it. Or the reverse, critics hate something, but everybody fucking loves it. It's a great movie. It's hilarious. And that's kind of what RARA is trying to do. It's like RARA is looking for broader fan consensus, broader society opinion on, is this NFT cool? Which is very different from the price. And so it by default needs to be accessible. Again, RARA is effectively working on accessibility of crypto and NFTs. These are intended to be low value but high volume interactions with the NFTs you like. At launch, the RAS are actually not going to be tradable. It's only usable in the app, because we want people to pay a little bit less attention to the price and trading RAS, and more in being more attentive of learning this idea of like to earn curation. And in doing that, the people who are good at curating will rise in ranks. They will both earn RAS. along with there's a secondary system in the RARA app, which is under the leaderboard, which is effectively the tastemakers. Again, at launch, there's 30 Genesis curators, but in the future, anybody with a high enough taste reputation will earn the right to curate as well. And the way that works is taste is essentially trying to measure your ability to find cool stuff before people with higher taste reputations than you. Or stated differently, are you a follower or a leader? Early on in the Twitter days, I used to pride myself that the people who followed me were the quote thought leaders. They were I was like an early source of content or ideas for them, right? The people who followed me were very high signal followers, which is very different from having a whole lot of followers who aren't like high signal content providers. You'll see people reply, especially younger people reply to, a TikTok or an Instagram post. They just reply with the word first. What they're doing is trying to mark that they saw this before anybody else. It's a timestamp that this thing's going to go viral. It's cool. And I was here first. RAS and specifically taste actually reward that. Again, RAS you would earn from liking that thing first. And taste, your taste reputation will go up if other people who are high signal, high taste, have a high taste in NFTs as well, follow you. And doing that, we're trying to filter the good content on the internet, provide a better reputation system than someone just giving them a verified badge. It's kind of, again, decentralized curation is kind of the idea of what we're working on.
Dude, it's a fascinating concept. I have a couple like curation type of questions because I mean, as we all know, like the concept of NFTs can expand in like so many different directions. So and same with your concept. I mean, I could see this going into like coolest virtual land pieces that are like build specific, or this whole concept could go into niches within niches and everything. In terms of like your initial curators, are you like specifically targeting, for example, the art market versus like, art and collectibles, or how do you sort of define or not define what you want the curators to curate? And then I guess my follow-up question to that would be, how do you prevent a situation where you have like a curator who just has a ton of like outside influence that, just sort of brings that into this space and is now like, everyone just sort of piles on to whatever they say is good for the same reasons they do on like, Twitter or something else?
To kind of answer the second question first is, I don't know if we have a solution for that. The race can be an experiment for that. We actually talk about, or we'll be talking about whenever we're going to be releasing the mirror post explaining how the race works and how RARs work. But we'll do a follow-up post on how taste works. And again, taste is the reputation system. We consider both of them an experiment in advance of us eventually using the full-blown decentralized protocol. But specifically, the reputation system, we say is an experiment. We say we want to engage with the community on like how that should work. Taste will actually be tokens as well as an aside, but not at launch. And so I guess what I'm saying is I don't have an answer to that one yet, but we want to create an environment where those things can be debated, and we can come up with those type of values. One of the interesting things about the ENS drop is like you had to claiming the drop, you had to like approve the constitution effectively of ENS. One of the, our constitutions, not constitutions, but the only rule we have in the system is no curating NFTs that you own. And we actually don't technically even implement that. We don't even check the curator's wallet to see if they own it, because we believe it's a community value, because people can have multiple wallets. And again, it's more of a community value. In a very similar way, like a community value can be, this shouldn't just be a popularity contest. This should be about the art. And so the dual incentive system of RAS, like to earn, and the reputation of taste ideally will balance each other. Specifically, if other people with high taste are not engaging with that influencer stuff, then that person's taste score is not going to rise. And the way the system will work post Genesis curators is that only the top 10 curators will be earning the right to curate. And so that influence is not really going to work if other tastemakers don't care about their stuff. And so I guess that's my answer of like, it's kind of a dual sided answer. It's both that I don't know the answer to it and we're working on it, and taste may fix that. I don't know. And then, your first question, which is starting to escape me. Rizzo, do you remember what it was again? I apologize. What was the first question?
It was about the curation. Like, are they
generalized curation?
Like
yes,
art
yes.
specifically, or like collectibles?
Okay, yeah. So we try to get a pretty diverse selection of curators. Some are the pure art curators. So we actually have a heavy influence of music curators. That may be a byproduct of me and the team. Some of the team like to dabble in music and electronic music, and also physical instruments. Me personally, I collect a lot of music NFTs, and so for whatever reason, we have not an outsized influence, but we do have a number of really great music curators and collectors. For example, we have Mai of Meyer World is going to be a Genesis curator. Blockchain Brett, which is one of the largest music NFT collectors in the space, is going to be a curator. And we actually have a few others. Frequency also is a curator. But yeah, kind of to move beyond that, we strived for generalized to try to have people in different categories. At launch, the NFT race is generalized. It's just all NFTs, are fair game to compete each day. During the launch week, we're actually going to have prompts just to kind of help curators kind of kick off and kind of have a theme to what to go with. But the race is really just generalized. Any NFT of any type, it could be a funny new PFP, or it could be a really cool MP4 one of one on Foundation. That's maybe it's a solar punk theme of some sort. But over time, as we have more curators and more people trying to say which NFTs are popular, the reality is it's three things are not the most popular thing of the day. There are categories. And so you could see over time the NFT race evolving into something more category based, where maybe the music NFT curators really only care about curating music NFTs, and they kind of want to compete against and discover just music stuff, while the art curators or any of the generative stuff, any of the other type of categories can be their own race that is kind of competing over time.
And I know with the NFT race, you're talking before we recorded, and I think you alluded to some of these NFTs as you're describing everything that'll unfold, but there is going to be sort of like Genesis NFT launches or an NFT sale going on at the same time as you release this new post talking about the updates. I'm wondering if you can unpack some of the different types of NFTs there that folks could.
So for the race, we're releasing 3 different NFTs with around 2/3 of each category going to effectively community in giveaways to people who are respected in the space. And so the first NFT is a Genesis fan NFT. There's going to be 300 of those. Around 160 of them are going out to the community. These are prior alpha or beta users. So people with the top 100 raw earners, along with the top 100 RA spenders, because again, RA's system is about people engaging and liking things, and that being rewarding for the creator as well. And so that overlapping list was about 160 people, and that Genesis fan NFT comes with effectively access to the in-app chat. We don't want that inside of each of the NFTs. If you click on any of the NFTs in the race, you can kind of talk about the race. And that chat is actually a Discord chat in RARA House, RARA's community Discord server. And everyone can view that chat, but only certain people can actually chat in it. And so the fans are in there, the Genesis NFT fan holders, along with the other two NFT holders can have access to that chat. And so that's the Genesis fan NFT. There'll be 140 of those for sale on Mirror for 0.02 ETH, so around $80-$90 to get that one. And then the second one is the most important one. I've already mentioned it, the Genesis Curator NFT. Again, 20 of those are going out to the community. 10 went to people who were kind of the best curators of the beta period. And the other 10 are kind of going to respected collectors and curators in the space. We have Little Fortunes from Redline Gazette, which is a really cool NFT magazine. She curates every day these really cool videos of like up and coming artists and cool NFTs every day. She's going to be a curator. It's a good example of another person that we gave away Genesis curator to. And then again, 10 for sale. And so 10 of those will be for sale for half an ETH. And that NFT effectively gives them permissions to curate at launch. This is literally the only time that the ability to curate will be purchasable. After this period, you got to earn it, and you got to earn it through your reputation of taste. And so again, 10 of those will be for sale. And then the last one is the Genesis GM NFT. GM is just a great internet meme. Good morning. It's a great way to engage with your community and kind of start your day. And that kind of represents the race. It's the start of something new, along with how we engage with each other around it. And so 2 of those went out to the community. One to the community member that best represented kind of the GM, Zach Kinney, longtime supporter of RARA, both in the alpha RAs and the beta period. He also was the number 2 best curator in taste score in the beta. And the other one went to MetaMick, team member, been with RARA the longest, as kind of a reward for him and all his hard work and how he thinks about engaging and connecting with people. He's an anthropologist by trade. He also does product and design for us as well. But, he starts first with like engaging with people, why they like something. And then again, one for sale. And that GM is effectively the only one of one. It's one of 3, but there's only one for sale. And that one comes with all the same things as the other NFTs, along with the ability to curate and kind of this, stature inside of the community. One other thing to note is all these do come with bonus RAs. It gives you kind of some extra RAs to start the game. You can see all that in the Mirror post. And the art on it's super dope. Slaughtermelon actually created the MP4 design for it. Each of them have their own emoji meme in it. The fan one is kind of the megaphone, which you'll see in the RARA logo. Again, RARA is kind of like a cheer, and so this is kind of that megaphone emoji is in that one. And it animates and spins. And then the curator one is the pinched finger emojis. Again, taste is kind of what it's all about for curators. And then the GM is just GM. And then all the music for that both of them, all 3 of them have kind of a different vibe of music. The Genesis fan one is kind of a high tempo electronic set put on by Frequency. And the curator one is more methodical, focus set. Again, how curators think. They're very methodical about what they curate. And then the GM one is kind of a mashup of both. Super cool. Those are going to be, if they're not already sold out by then, there may be some still available at rara.mirror.xyz by the time this comes out.
Nice, dude. I love all the utility built into them on top of what sounds like really dope design. Best case scenario, man, these things fly off the shelves and they are all sold out by the time this podcast comes out. But I would expect a lot of people are listening thinking like, all right, this is cool. It seems like barrier to entry is like reasonably low just for me to like check it out and get involved in like some capacity. So for people who like may have missed out on the auction or just don't have the funds for it, like what's like the easiest way for someone to, get involved moving forward?
Yeah. So we think of the Genesis NFT sale as more of a collectible, something fun to reward current community members. Actually, 1/3 of the funds are going to each of the artists, and so RARA is only getting 1/3 of it. It's kind of less about the money for our purposes, more about just getting a collectible out there and kind of starting something. The vast majority of users we expect and should just go to the app, app.rara.social. And the first way you're going to earn is effectively by entering the race. You're going to connect your wallet, and you just have to tweet to verify your identity to kind of prevent the farmers amongst us from farming raw tokens. We'll kind of bootstrap proof of identity from Twitter, and you'll earn your first 100 RAs there. There's going to be a whole lot of other kind of ways to earn RAs in the app outside of just liking to earn. Share loops and things like that as well. Along with, if you check out and join the community, our Discord server, if you just type in rara.house in your domain, in your browser, that'll take you to our Discord server. We're going to be doing a whole lot of kind of like community building there and trying to, again, over time, like we don't want to be in control of this thing. We want to decentralize it. And so in the lead up to us releasing the protocol, we want to start kind of, giving away the farm, giving away the RAs to community members who are adding value in any sort of way. And so but there's going to be lots of different ways that you can kind of earn RAs. But the first way is just go to app.rara.social and connect your wallet and verify your Twitter. You'll earn your first 100 RAs.
That's awesome. And before Rizzle gets into his very intrusive wallet shakedown, I did have one question. Again, like this comes from like when we were chatting right before we started recording. Again, when I think about social crypto, my heart immediately goes back to Cent. Obviously, co-founder back in the day, and Rizzle, like we just had all of our internet stories together, forming on Cent, which was for folks that are new to the space, a place where it was like a crypto-powered blog essentially, but like the whole community of like old crypto art OGs and just like everyone that's been in the space for a minute kind of like posted up there for a while. I got to know one another and had some fun experiments. But I'm curious, like, is there any lineage or any essence of Cent that helped influence what you're doing with the NFT race and everything at RARA? Yeah. So, we're definitely not the first there in decentralized curation. Cent, Steemit, kind of sort of change tip. TCRs, token curator registries. All of them have, attempted to do this, and some of those projects are still around, some of them aren't. This is about a few different things. Timing is always very critical. For me, the timing is right for this. Combined with changing in technology and environments, again, like it's easier for people to kind of onboard into crypto. If you don't have a wallet, you can actually just sign up with your email on RARA, and we'll give you a wallet. And all your raw tokens earning will be stored in that and secured by your email and device with a provider we have. But kind of the final thing is, are we actually innovating on curation? The payout mechanism for RAS in the race is actually very similar to Cent and very similar to even kind of sort of TCRs. It's literally, if you like early and in quantities and other people like after you in quantities,
you're kind of sort of getting paid by the later people. That being said, the full blown protocol is going to be a lot more nuanced than that. The protocol will allow for any NFT to be used as a reaction. So we'll move beyond just RARs to any NFT being a potential reaction, kind of like you would select a GIF or an emoji to react to some sort of content. And in that, that final leg of the payout mechanism is also part of what we're going to be innovating on. In the protocol, there are referral incentives for people, apps and things sending liquidity to the protocol. For example, if Rainbow Wallet were to integrate this and people were liking NFTs in Rainbow Wallet, they can get paid part of the money from the likes, from the curation, which is very different from Cent or most of the other plays, in that you had to just be on that app for it to kind of work. Combined with, and this will get me to my second point, generally was requiring the spending of a native governance token, community token. And that's actually how the race works today. So the race works today is you're basically farming and spending our community token, right? RAS. But RAS will eventually upgrade into the RARA protocol token. And when that upgrade occurs, we're going to move away from having to spend governance token to effectively spending a more stable value unit. And so what I mean by that is, we have, 12 years of proof of people regretting spending originally Bitcoin, a lot of Bitcoin on something, and now ETH and other tokens. People tend to regret spending in a token that goes up, has large upside potential. The 10,000 Bitcoin pizza is the biggest example of that, but people also regretted tipping people with Bitcoin on change tip. They've kind of regretted every version of this. And so the full blown protocol will address that issue. I won't get into the mechanics now because that's going to be a full rabbit hole. But you'll effectively be spending stable value money to react and curate things. And that reaction will move beyond just one type of thing, RAS, to any emotion or meme or thing you want to react with is fair game to react with. So we've been inspired a lot by Cent, honestly. I talk a lot about it. But we're trying to address a few of the issues that I see with a lot of the prior attempts at this in the full-blown protocol.
Very cool, man. I feel like there's certainly, as we saw with Cent, people responded very well to this sort of mechanism, even though I feel like all of this is sort of uncharted territory and, certainly needs to be continuously tweaked and re-examined and everything. And obviously you guys have thought a lot about it. Dude, you are clearly like an OG in the NFT scene and couldn't obviously put something this complex and innovative together if you weren't around to be a part of some of these things. This is the intrusive shakedown part, man. Would love to know what kind of stuff you've been collecting, what you've accumulated in your wallet over the years, stuff you like, stuff you don't like, maybe projects that are inspiring to you. Man, what you got going on in there that's just outside of the rah-rah circle?
So I'm trying to remember the name of the project of the first NFT I collected. I collected it because I think Jake from CoinFund was talking about it, and it was. Do you remember the
additional project?
No, it was like zombies versus. Oh, where is it? I'm trying to look at my wallet to find it.
Zombies and Jake, bro. Mm-hmm.
I think he was just talking. It wasn't a project he did, but
okay.
I can't remember. It was like a 2018, I think, one. It was like they created a whole bunch of zombies, and then there was zombies, and I think it was aliens. I need to see my difference in a different wallet now. I think that was probably the first one I collected. Today, what I'm collecting, the vast majority of stuff I'm collecting is music NFTs. I tend to collect NFTs that are visual in nature but have music to it. I think the last thing I collected was probably one of the more expensive ones I've collected. My World released his full album along with the song My World, which is the dopest beat I've heard in a long time, and it's like so crypto-y.
So sick, man.
Yeah. If you don't know he's awesome. Definitely check him out. My World
for the intro for this podcast that you're recording right now.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, he's everywhere. Exactly. This is why I'm collecting his stuff. His stuff, in my opinion,
sick,
is
man.
way underpriced. But in My World, one of the lyrics is like, this is my world. You got to pay to get in it. And has a whole lot of other kind of like very things that are native to Web3. And so my actually also has my token. His server was a really cool server I found like forever ago, and just kind of thought it was super experimental. All of the NFTs that he's selling inside of this album come with he actually created a video game with a Game Boy. It's a Game Boy game where you have each of them come with a gold or different colored Game Boy cartridge that you can play one of the 2 levels of My World. And so this is really cool, and it comes with an IRL. It's a dope song. One of my favorite music artists in the space. That's, I think, the last thing I collected. Frequency, another music guy, I collected his Noon piece, which part of the Noon piece has, it says good morning in it. And so part of that sound of good morning is inside of that GM NFT. So primarily music stuff. I also, other ones, I like to dance. So RARA is a vibe. You guys are tired. I feel like I've been like too buttoned up for this thing, but we kind of pride ourselves on trying to throw internet parties. When I go to a party, I'm not the guy that's up on the stage playing the music. I'm the person who just wants to dance the entire night. So one of the other cool ones I got was, there was a project called HeatDAO, that sold effectively movement data. They believe they're the first to ever sell this. It's basically a dance. Again, imagine you were in Crypto Voxels and you provably owned a specific move in Crypto Voxels. And the move in this case is a dance, which would be different from maybe a move in like Street Fighter video game. If you owned that move, that's now possible with NFTs. So that's a really cool one. I kind of collected it as well recently.
Oh my God. No, I've been waiting to do the Carlton in Crypto Voxels for a minute. Like, it's
I'll connect you with HeatDAO guys. They should fucking make that. That'd be cool.
Yeah, no, I mean, and it doesn't need to be a one-on-one. I would make these like more like open, but I can just see a whole market of like all these naked avatars, clothed avatars, trying to get their cool dances in there.
Yes. Yes. So I guess that's the other thing. So they did sell a whole bunch of them. I think there's still some for sale. So definitely get in there and swoop that up if you haven't got one of those. They're not that expensive. But you kind of alluded to Crypto Voxels. The thing I'm eyeing right now is I've been eyeing a whole lot of Crypto Voxels property. It's one of the OGs in the space. Definitely the best internet parties happen on Crypto Voxels, I kind of think. So a lot of the metaverses, I think, real estate effectively where cool stuff is happening is where there's value. And so there's a lot of kind of properties. I haven't collected one yet, but I've definitely been eyeing a bunch. Actually, interestingly, I mentioned it or alluded to before, in the NFT race, there's 3 winners every day. Obviously they'll be just on display in the RARA race gallery in the app. But these are NFTs. We can't contain these things. They can be anywhere. And so we're actually working with the Nemesis.io, which is a new NFT metaverse platform that's still in beta. And they actually built us our own custom gallery in the metaverse. So it's kind of a more high pixelated or high rather than like Crypto Voxels, which is very Minecraft-like. This one's more, glossier. I basically I wrote out a document with MetaMake on like what we wanted. And what I essentially described is like, you kind of walk up to this super seedy scene. It's like industrial buildings, graffiti, skate park, graffiti everywhere. And I told him, I was like, if you can make it look like 5 Points, that would be awesome. So 5 Points is a famous Brooklyn building that for something like 30 years, graffiti artists just graffitied all over it like crazy, and eventually got whitewashed by the man. But the outside of that gallery is like that. And then you walk into this like super cool loft style space where we'll be displaying all of the race winners, which really goes to the whole point of this thing. What NFTs are cool, what NFTs maybe should be in the gallery. Maybe it's not just about price. Maybe it's more about broader fan opinion. And so the Nemesis is kind of the first spot for that. We're actually you'll be able to in the future raw and like that NFT as a reaction inside of that metaverse, along with we'll probably have a crypto voxel and a few other kind of spots because these should be everywhere. RARA and the most popular NFTs should be where the people are. And in my opinion, the people will all be in the metaverses of the future. The real metaverses, of course, the NFT ones, not that other guy's stuff.
That other guy who shall go unnamed.
Exactly.
Dude, before we bounce, I know you already dropped like RARA.social, but any other links, channels folks need to be following you and RARA on to stay up to date? And then, just remind folks when the drop was, when they're listening to this, and then any other key dates heading forward.
Yeah. So I'm LWSN Baker, Baker, on pretty much all the socials, primarily Twitter. And RARA is RARA_social, pretty much everywhere, Twitter, Instagram. I have Reddit as well. And you can find the app at RARA.social, and the community at RARA.house. Definitely check out the server. We'd like to throw some parties. Launch day is December 1st, and every Wednesday through Friday, noon to 4 Eastern at RARA.social, there'll be a whole bunch of NFTs competing for your attention. And so check it out. Maybe invest a few RARs on an NFT you dig. And I'd say if you're lucky, but it's not lucky. It is a game of skill. If you can spot the winners, you can like NFTs and earn crypto.
Amazing. Dude, Lawson, awesome, always a pleasure to have you on the show, talking to you, whether it's Matthew and Rizzo's show or the Whip. So awesome to see you continue to build and innovate at, again, like one of the most important / exciting intersections in this space, which is crypto and social, man. So just hats off to you, man, and keep building.
Yeah, man. I really appreciate the invite out here. And again, Cent was an inspiration for me, and Cent's still around. Cent's awesome. And the cool thing about crypto is we can keep Legoing and keep doing stuff on top of these things. And so, what you created was honestly was definitely inspirational for this. And so props to you as well, my friend.
Love to hear it, but it wasn't anything without the users, and there's no user like Rizzle. So shout out, dude.
Hey, Rizzle's legend, man. Love me some Rizzle.
Boom. Perfect way to end. One sec. Let me end this recording.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening to this week's episode. Just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Proof of Beauty. Proof of Beauty is an experimental digital experience studio. The blockchain is their canvas and the tokens are their brush. You can learn more about Proof of Beauty by checking out pob.studio. You can follow them on Twitter as well at PRRF Beauty. That's PRRF Beauty on Twitter, and pob.studio on their homepage to learn more about their projects like Hash, London, and Publico. Thank you, and see you in the next episode.